Welcome back to the AGP slot. In this video, I want to troubleshoot why I'm getting such slow disk performance on these old IDE drives. Currently over the network, I'm getting about 2 to 4 megabytes per second, which is extremely slow even for 100 megabit Ethernet. I should be seeing at least 10 over the network, and accessing the disk should give me at least 20 to 60 depending. So first thing I'm going to do is try and do a read test with DD. Okay, it didn't tell me the rate, so that's not helpful. I would probably have to just time it and then do math, which is pretty annoying. Let's try and get htparm. I know this existed for like ever, so I should have it. Cached reads 345. Ooh, buffer disk reads 5 megabytes. That's really awful. Yeah, no wonder we're not seeing past like 4 megabytes on network transfers. Definitely think this is some kind of disk issue, possibly cable, or maybe even Linux. See if DMA is enabled. Might be a BIOS switch I need to flip. I was kind of thinking about that earlier. When I loaded the optimized defaults, that might have been switched off. Yeah, there it is. DMA is off. No wonder we're getting crazy slow write speeds. See if I can just enable it here. Not permitted, so maybe a BIOS switch I gotta flip. Okay, 32-bit IO, but DMA is still off. Yeah, I can't turn DMA on. Alright, well, I think I can't really do much here, so I'm gonna reboot. Alright, we're in the BIOS. Just gonna poke around in like everything. Okay, IDE, DMA. Well, everything is enabled. Well, I think there's nothing I can switch in the BIOS because it's already set to auto or enabled, which means could be a Linux issue. Maybe it doesn't have the chipset driver for this VIA controller, because the system is a little newer than when Mandrake 9.0 came out. Mandrake 9 came out around 2002. This board is at least 2004, as you can see from the BIOS there. So it just depends if it had support for it or not. I know it did detect it when we went through the install phase. Alright, we're back in. What I'm going to do is check dmessage for any IDE errors. Well, it seems like it's running at a slower mode. 33 megahertz would be like the slowest you could go for IDE, I think. That could have something to do with it. That's just detecting the hard drive, which is normal. Seems to be using IDE SCSI as the driver. Let's see if we have any BIOS stuff in here, which is what the chipset is on this board. Yeah, just looks like sound and via Rhine, which is the networking chip. So nothing in here about IDE, and that could be what it is. It doesn't have a driver. See if we can manually up the bus speed maybe. Yeah. Alright, so 66 megahertz is Ultra DMA mode, and the 33 is, I guess, the PIO. That's why it's going so slow. It's not at the right frequency. Let's try and mod probe the VIA driver. Yeah, no module. Yeah, no VIA stuff in there. Alright, let's update Lilo. Okay, we're just gonna reboot, see if that did anything. Alright, I don't have much hope for this. Auto is honestly probably the default anyway. So what we're gonna do is just run the test again for read. Just see if anything changes. If not, there's one more thing I can do. Just force it to 66 megahertz in Lilo. Probably will not work. Yeah, still really slow. Although another video idea would be to get the latest modern Linux kernel and compile it on here. So that would give us basically all driver support for everything. And then test that out. Maybe the performance will be better. And we'd still have all the old packages and software from Mandrake 9, just with a newer 6.19 or whatever the latest kernel is right now. So that could be kind of cool to check out. Although I don't know how long it would take to compile that on an Athlon XP. Might have to just try that out in this video that I'm currently filming. I don't think it would be that interesting to just upgrade to the Mandrake 9.2 kernel, which is only a little bit newer. Might as well just go all the way and get the 6. Whatever branch. Well, there's no boot errors, but I doubt that IDE bus flag did anything. Try it out once we load in. Honestly, it seems a little slower to me. Alright, just HD parm to try it. This might turn into a compiling the Linux kernel on old hardware video. I don't know yet. Yep, still really slow. So the only option is to recompile the kernel, I think. Or I could upgrade to 9.2, but I want to check out 9.1 as well. So either way, we'd still be stuck with slow disk speed until we get to 9.2. This board is just a little bit too new for this software. I have that Enforce 2 board I'd like to try out, so that's a second or third option. Only problem with that board is the CPU cooler mount is like chipped off or something. Like the little hook in the center of it, it's like broke off somehow. I don't know how. It came like that when I got it. It is used and has some dust on it, but the caps on it look really good. I think I might dig that out and check. Really don't feel like swapping the whole motherboard out just so I can have a little bit faster disk speed, but it might be time, just because Enforce 2 would be fun to look at on this old system here. And that board can do dual channel memory, so there'd be a little bit of a speed bump too. I don't know if it can do 2 gigabytes of memory, which is what I have as the OCZ kit. Okay, here's the board. I don't know if you can see, it's like a little bit chipped up here at the top. It's gonna be very difficult to see. This one right here in the middle. So as far as I know, this board does function, but I have never tested it. And I believe the cooler will still work because there's 3 here. 3 like hooks or whatever for the cooler. And I guess as long as there's like 2, and then on the other side right here is where like that middle clip will go, but I'm not quite sure. Might have to get like a specific cooler that would work well with this, because it is like broken off and I don't know how I could repair that. But yeah, anyway, this is an ABit NF7 S2G. I think it's a lower end Enforce 2 board from the ABit NF7 like lineup. But yeah, I got this because I wanted to try Enforce 2 with the dual channel memory a couple years ago. Just haven't gotten around to trying it out. And the chip that's currently in there is an Athlon XP 2500 Plus, I believe. I haven't googled the model number on it, but it does say 2500. And I also bought another Athlon XP 3000 Plus recently, just to have if I wanted to have like two systems running at the same time, or so I didn't have to like swap CPUs out just to try out another motherboard. And that S2G on the model number might be gigabit. I think some of the later boards did have it, and the current board, the KT600, is still only 100 megabit, and I believe it came out probably around the same time as this one. I don't know when they stopped manufacturing the Athlon XP socket 462 boards. Alright, I thought about it for a couple minutes. I think I'm gonna swap the board. That'll give me a chance to play around with Enforce 2, assuming it works correctly. I think I'll do maybe some minor like memory benchmarks, if I can get some kind of tool installed to do that. So that'll give me a chance to see like what the actual difference is. But not going to do any game benchmarks. It would be nice to see on Linux, but yeah, I don't even know how I would benchmark a game, considering all this stuff is so ancient. And I only have the GeForce 2 in here, which I want to keep playing around with. So there's not much point other than something that's memory intensive. I guess I don't even need to benchmark this board, because I can just take a stick of memory out of the Enforce board and it'll be exactly the same. It'll just have less memory. But I'm going to do it anyway, because why not? Then I'll at least have all the packages installed that I need. Yeah, I'm not really sure what software I could use to benchmark this stuff. Considering we're on Linux, I can't just open like old CPU-Z and try that or something. I mean, Claude is saying I could just run DD and like dump dev 0 out to dev null and see how long it takes. I mean, that's kind of lame, but I can do it anyway. So this is just how long it takes to write 4 gigs out to dev null. I guess that's using memory. Well, it's probably using CPU at least. Alright, so that took 20.19 on this board. Let's run it again. So the first test took less than 1 second. I guess this would be kind of good to see. Maybe if we get the other board in a dual channel, it takes like, I don't know, 12 seconds maybe. Alright, that took 18. Let's do it again. So I guess stuff is getting cached now if it's gonna be running faster each time. 18 seconds. Yeah, I mean, if we get like 12 or something on Enforce 2 with dual channel memory, I mean, it'd be a slight improvement. Alright, next thing we're gonna try is X11 Perf. I don't know if that's gonna work, but we're gonna try it. Yeah, I feel like this is kind of useless. I don't know. Maybe for like a really old system, like early 90s, then you could see like how slow or how fast it's drawing some of these triangles. Yeah, this is like a early mid 2000 system, so that X11 perf test is probably came with X back in the day, like in the 80s or 90s maybe. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now, take this old board out, put in the new Enforce 2 board. Hopefully we don't have any issues with the cooler. That's like my only concern with it. And then we'll be back to try it out. I'm not gonna really film it, except maybe powering it on for the first time, just because I gotta move everything around and make some space to put the case down on its side and take the board out, put the new board in, all that good stuff. So yeah, we'll be back soon. So I'm getting ready to take the old board out, and I figured I'd just do like a quick little overview of the hardware that's in it. I don't know, it could be kind of fun. So first we got that GeForce 2 MX MX400 64 meg. Again, this is from like 2003, 2004 when we got had our systems built back in the day. See, my dad had a similar system built, but it had lower specs because he didn't play any games. But the components were about the same, like Athlon XP and the GeForce2. And then obviously I got the GeForce4 later on, probably like a week or two after we got our new systems built. Then we've got this SB0770. I believe this is just a Sound Blaster Live. I don't know what the exact models are. I know when I bought this I did a little bit of research and I tried to get the best one possible. And as you can see, there's some type of like corrosion happening here on like this side here, the inputs. So I don't know what's going on. I don't think it affected anything. I do have some deoxit that I could use at some point. I mean, this card doesn't work with 9.0 anyway, so I don't really care at the moment. Then we've got just a basic USB 2.0 header thing. I had a whole bunch of these back in the day, but I never used them because I didn't understand what they were used for. So I never plugged them in. And the system builder I got it from didn't do that either. So they just sat in a box for like 20 years and I threw them out eventually. This gigabit network card, got this on Amazon. They're only like 20 bucks. Seems to work in Linux, but you know, we had that crash, so it doesn't work that well. I'm sure they fixed it in a newer kernel update. And we've got this SIL, I think 3112 SATA controller. So this is pretty good, but I had bad luck with it in Mandrake, so I never used it. Always use those SATA to IDE adapters. It does work pretty well with XP if you load the drivers in. I know you can flash these whole different like modes and stuff. So I think one of them you can do like RAID, another one just regular SATA. And they're pretty good. I think they're like 30 bucks on Amazon. And then lastly, just your basic like PC speaker. These you can get like, I don't know, like 10 of them for 10 bucks on eBay. So I have a whole stack of these somewhere. I even use these in newer systems just so you can hear like a post beep. It's kind of handy. Sometimes you'll just hear that beep randomly and some system crashed. Anyway, I'm gonna start taking the board out. And I've already got the 3000 plus that I recently purchased in the Enforce 2 board. I don't know if it works. The seller said it works in the listing. So we're gonna hopefully get that old cooler off and put it onto the new board and hopefully no issues. Eventually I want to get the same cooler and fan so that way I can have both systems, and if I want to swap the boards they'll be identical and I don't have to deal with CPU changes or cooler changes. But for right now, just gonna swap the cooler and then put everything back in the system, get it running again. So hopefully when we come back, first thing you'll see is the system posting, and then we'll go from there. And one last thing, almost forgot the memory. So we got some OCZ PC3200. Apparently this is really good overclocking memory, which is why I bought it like 5-6 years ago on eBay. So yeah, that's what we're using. I have 2 sticks of this, and I only have 1 in this board because there's some kind of weird post issue if you do like dual rank memory, and yeah, more than like 512 megs. So had to take a stick out for it to work properly. Alright, here's a look at the old board that was just in the system. It's a little bit too new for Mandrake, but other than that, no issues. Just your standard VIA board. Alright, I've got the cooler, CPU mounted. Hard to show you, but yeah. So no issues. That middle clip wasn't really a problem, thankfully. And as long as you got the other 2, you're pretty much good. Now there was like barely enough clearance to even get that like middle bracket on the front there to be like clipped in correctly, so I had to give a little extra force and then it popped in place. So now we're gonna get this back in the case, put all the cards back in, and power it on. So I just tried to put it in the case and ran into a little bit of a problem. As you can see, the bottom left there, this guy came out of someone else's case and it's lodged in there. So I'll get the pliers out and pinch it. I guess it's some kind of standoff. It's plastic. Yeah, I don't know. Pull that out, should be good to go. It's a little more cramped in there now because this is a full ATX board instead of that like little micro ATX or mini ITX or whatever. Okay, the board has been swapped. I think we're ready to go for a first power on. I'm gonna be a little disappointed if something doesn't work. Now this board also has the 4-pin power for the CPU, so it should be able to handle the 3200 plus, but I don't have one. The ECS board said it could do it in the manual, but it doesn't have that 4-pin, so it's gonna pull all of its power through, I believe, the 5-volt, and that's why you would want a board that has the 4-pin, so you don't need that. Alright, hopefully this works. Nothing exploded yet. Posting? Oh, it works. Okay, delete. Athlon XP. Wow. Wow, I'm very glad that that works. I spent a lot of time swapping that out. Wow, okay. And the CPU works. This is a new CPU that I just got as well. So we're gonna load defaults. That's awesome. Only one stick of RAM in so far. I think once I boot up, then I'll stick another 1 gig stick in there. Wow, this has a lot more stuff. Oh, that's strange. Yeah, I've never seen that before in a BIOS. Well, 3000 plus is detected. See if we can boot. Okay. Oh. Nice. I don't have keyboard. That's an issue, so just let it do its thing. Since it is Linux, it should just detect everything and load the correct drivers and modules and stuff. I don't know if in Lilo I had to modify anything because this is not a VIA chipset anymore. Okay, we're getting USB errors. IRQ stuff. Should at least load the video driver. Oh, maybe not. I might be reinstalling the whole OS, I don't know. Maybe redo that DRAC X. Okay, well at least we got video, but no USB. That's kind of an issue. I don't have a PS2 keyboard or mouse. Alright, KDE loaded, but no USB. This is an issue. Well, at least the OS is there. That's good. Don't know how to fix this, because I need to run, like, I don't know if it's DRAC X or Hard Drake or something like that. I think it's Hard Drake. So we're gonna have to put the CD in and repair it. The CD-ROM doesn't want to eject. Maybe because I'm constantly viewing this folder. I don't know. We're just gonna power cycle. Might be changing boot options. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotta turn off that splash screen too. Alright, that should do it. These older boards didn't have a boot menu that you could just hit F8 and boot off whatever you needed. So you have to go in and actually like change it. Maybe this board has it, I couldn't see though. Oh no, do we not have USB? Well, that's gonna be a problem. Can't even hit enter. No USB. That's an issue. Okay, I think what we're gonna do is just turn off USB 2.0 and give that a shot. Supposedly Enforce 2 has USB 2 driver issues with the Linux kernel in 2.4. We don't really need USB 2.0. No, still not working. Alright, let me try something else. I saw OS and BIOS options in there for USB, so I'm gonna switch it over to BIOS. Maybe that'll have some effect. And this board has a lot of different BIOS versions that I can grab, so I might be updating the BIOS in the future. What's it under? Yes. Alright, let's do BIOS. Keep that. Try it. Alright, that's working. We don't need USB 2 for anything. I'm just gonna be copying stuff over the network anyway. I mean, it would be nice to have, just so I could plug flash drives in, but I mean, I have FTP now, so that's just gonna work fine. See if we get anywhere. I know it had a lot of errors loading stuff, so when we get in, we're gonna run hard Drake. Yeah, see, IO or IRQ parameters. USB. No, we still don't have USB mouse and stuff. That's an issue. Well, seems I'm pretty much stuck. I don't even know if the networking is working, because I can't ping it. But also, since it's a different device, probably doesn't have DHCP. So for right now, just gonna think about what else I can do and then come back tomorrow and try it. Still the same day, but I'm gonna try the rescue system now that I can get some kind of USB support in the install phase. So we're just gonna see what happens. I have a feeling it's gonna try to load all the USB junk and then it's not gonna work. Try it now, I guess. I think the main thing is I need to get hard Drake running. So if I have like mouse and keyboard, I should be able to do that. Oh, still. Man. Yeah, I don't know what else to do. The only option would be to, well, two options. Upgrade the BIOS. May or may not fix it. Kind of risky on an old board like this. Or I can just upgrade to Mandrake 9.1, which is what I wanted to do anyway. But I kind of wanted that to be its own separate video. So that might be what we're doing. So whenever I come back, probably just upgrade to 9.1. Keep the GeForce 2, just because through the install phase that works pretty well. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's too much I wanted to do on this system. Kind of like hit the limits. Alright, it's now the next day. I just got done shoveling all the snow from this huge snowstorm that hit the East Coast. I think we got at least 10 inches or so. Took me probably an hour, maybe more, to shovel it all. So what I wanted to do was give a little recap of what happened and what we're gonna do next. So yesterday I set out to investigate the slow disk speed that I was having, and it was because the VIA chipset was too new for Mandrake 9.0. So I decided to swap the motherboard out after trying a whole bunch of stuff, trying to get DMA 66 enabled, which didn't work. So I swapped the board for the Enforce 2 one that I have. It works perfectly, which is awesome, but missing USB support in Mandrake 9, so we have to upgrade to 9.1 anyway. And there's still a possibility that 9.1 will have issues with USB, so I might be skipping 9.1 and going straight to 9.2. And I could also try updating the BIOS since this one's a little bit older. The BIOS on here is from 2004, and I see there's a 2005 BIOS available. So if we don't get USB going, gonna try installing that, see what happens. This board is a lot nicer than the ECS one. I feel like it has a lot more BIOS options in there to play around with, and it has built-in gigabit, which is also really nice. So if we have UDMA along with gigabit, should be a lot faster doing things. I was planning on swapping the board out anyway, just so I could try this out. Always wanted the Enforce 2. Never got one until Socket AM2. Made sure I got an Enforce, and I was pretty happy with that. Didn't have many problems. And this install is going to be on the other hard drive. I disconnected the other one, so it won't be overwritten in case I need it later. We're still using the GeForce2 just for installation purposes. It has better driver support. This will be the one where we upgrade to the GeForce 4 after we get some Loki games going. So yeah, let's get into the install process. Unfortunately, I don't have retail copies of this, so it's just the download edition. It's impossible to get the Power Pack or Pro Suite. I've looked everywhere, can't find it, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist. So just gonna burn it to CD. I already had the first one, I'll have to burn the other ones next. But yeah, let's get started. So I did own this on original discs back in the day, where I was not allowed to install it on the family computer. So I would just boot into it, check it out, play around, but wasn't allowed to partition or install the system, unfortunately. And I couldn't get it to boot on my compact system, which was a little bit lower end and way older. It was a Pentium 1 at the time, and later a Pentium 2 system. So I don't think it worked on either. So I didn't use Mandrake until I got the Athlon XP system. I'm not sure why at the time my dad was so against having Linux installed, because it was way better, so much more reliable than, I think we had 95 at the time. That was just a joke. So as you can see, the installer for this one is a lot nicer. They upgraded it significantly. I feel like the old one was based on the 8.0 installer, and this is just a lot nicer to use. Alright, well, I just got into the installer and there's no USB, and I don't have PS2 keyboard or mouse, so I think we're going to be upgrading the BIOS potentially. Definitely not willing to swap the board back to the ECS just so we can get the thing installed. I want to keep using the Enforce just because it's so much cooler. So what we're going to have to do is mess around in the BIOS, try and disable some USB stuff, turn other things on and off, try and get this working. It does have Enforce 2 driver support, so I don't know why we're having all these problems. Even 9.0 had it, but I guess there's just an issue with USB, unfortunately. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back, hopefully got it working, and can proceed with the install. Yeah, this is not working, so I'm gonna update the BIOS. It needs a floppy drive, alright. Well, I do have some, so I guess I'm gonna have to connect that. And they gave me just an EXE on the retro web, so put that on there, try it out. Luckily it's only 400 kilobytes, so it'll fit on there. I have to dig out my USB floppy disk drive so I can copy from my Mac. Apparently I can put APFS on it. Yeah, let's just do FAT. I think it's so old that the partitions and all the files got wiped. Lost the magnetism or something. Or the disk is bad, who knows. Yeah, I think that one's bad, so I'm trying another one. I only have about 3 or 4. This one might be bad too. Already backed these up years ago, so if they're dead, that's fine. Still not working. Tries to create the partition map and then it just gets stuck. So I don't know if it's Mac or the drive or the actual floppy disk. I think I might have to try this on Linux on my desktop. I'm not sure what's going on. The light is just permanently on. Well, let's try and read one on the physical machine. Well, it's trying to read, but the light is like permanently on. Like, even with no disk in it, it was still doing it. It's possible this drive is also bad. Maybe I have it upside down, I don't know. Like the cable. Okay, it failed on my Mac, so yeah, I have to try that on Linux. Also gotta flip this cable. So I think it might be upside down, that's why it's on permanently. Not entirely sure which way the cable's supposed to go because there's no notch in the floppy drive that I have. So I just flipped it upside down. Maybe the light will go off. Yeah, it's probably not even detecting it now, so I guess it was correct the other way. And these discs are just bad. Okay, I guess removable means floppy. I was thinking it wasn't being detected. Still a possibility. That floppy light is just permanently on. That bugs me. Floppy disk fail. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with that floppy disk drive. I'm sure there's a way to flash it with like FreeDOS. Alright, we're skipping the floppy disk and we're just going USB. I've got FreeDOS on here along with the BIOS and a word flash, so we're gonna try that. It's just an EXE for the BIOS, so I don't know if we need a word flash or not. We're gonna try it out. Maybe just run it and it does it? I don't know. Booting off the flash drive. That took forever to figure out. Well, we don't really want to install it. Alright. Autocomplete. So nice. Let's just run this and see what happens. Alright, it's just, yeah, it comes with everything. That's good. Nice. Yep. See if we have like some Unix utils like cat or something. Oh wait, I just run me. Let's do that. Okay, we're not under Windows, so it should be okay. Oh, bad file name. Do I need to be in there? Try it again. Yup. Alright, it's going. Yep. Didn't even ask for like a confirmation. Current one is 8/18/2004. The one on the retro web is 2005. F1 to continue. Yeah, I pressed F1 and nothing happened. That's not good. Can I just reboot? Like, I'm pretty sure it wrote it. Oh, that's not good. Alright, just gonna power cycle because I can't press F1. Hopefully nothing's broken. If it is, we're going back to the other board. Alright, let's see. Okay, good. We didn't brick it. Let's see if we got 2005. Not sure, but I'm gonna do defaults. Let's see if we have 2005 now. Oh, I guess it rebooted. Yes, 2005. This is the latest BIOS then. Nice. Hopefully they fixed all those USB issues. If not, I'm not sure what to do next. Alright, we've been here for at least 2 minutes, so I'm gonna reboot. Alright, it's just a boot order problem. Yeah, USB is still not working. Not sure what to do here. Guess I can try BIOS mode for USB. It works there, but then once we get to the install, can't use the keyboard. Might end up just buying like a cheap via PCI USB card. It's probably gonna be the best option, because then we can use Enforce and not have to care about USB working or not. It'll just work. No, it's still not working. Nothing. Alright, I think the only option now is to get PCI USB 2.0 card with like a VIA chipset. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I found a pretty cheap one for about 14 bucks. It's an NEC chip and not VIA. The VIA one's about 20 bucks. This one's like 13. So we're just gonna grab that. Ends up being the same price because shipping. Yeah, well, that was a fun rabbit hole. So when I come back, I'll have that card. In the meantime, I don't think I'm gonna film anything else. Just, well, maybe some other like simple things like my GPU collection or something like that. But yeah, in the meantime, wait for that card to ship and arrive, and then that should work flawlessly, and then we can have proper Enforce 2 support and a separate USB controller, and then more Linux videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.